Hey everyone, Michael here with Hello Cupcake, it's me. And so this is a follow-up video to a video that I did like 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago now. Um, so this video has caused me a lot of grief over the years. And when I created it, it was one of those videos that was just really full of emotion. I was in a very uncertain place in my life. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get my housing, or if I could keep the house that I was in, so on and so forth. And over the years, I have received so much hate mail from this particular video. As a matter of fact, I get hate mail pretty much daily over it. So this is an updated video to my haters, okay? 5 or 6 years ago, I posted a video talking about Social Security and low-income housing. Well, I have since then received my Social Security. I am, as of the first of this year, now starting to make $770 a month instead of the $743 or $755. I can't remember which. I was able to keep my home, and so I'm still in the same house that I was in when I made that video years ago. And just to recap on that video, it's going to be up here somewhere. I'll put a link to it. It's either going to be up here or like down in the description box. Anyways, during that time period when I had created that video, I was really stressed out and had no idea when or if I was going to be evicted. Well, 5-6 years later, here I am, haven't been evicted, and things are going fairly better than what they were. So, during that time period, I was, like I said, really worried about my housing. I didn't know if I was going to receive my Social Security. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get into low-income home or housing, because here in Jefferson County there is a housing market crisis now, but back then it was a little tight to be able to get into places. But I didn't want to have to move into the low-income apartments that are available in this area, mainly because, one, I don't do well with apartments, and two, because, well, there's a lot of people there who are not the most savory of characters. There's a lot of drug addicts, there's convicted felons, there's even a couple of child molesters that are on, that have been released and are being allowed to live there, which I have no idea how the hell that's happening, but that's neither here nor there. So, why did I decide to make this video after all this time? Well, mainly because, like I said, I keep getting ample amounts of hate mail telling me that I'm a fat, useless piece of shit, that I should kill myself, that I need to quit whining, that I don't deserve to be on Social Security, that I'm a drain on the system, so on and so forth, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Okay, first and foremost, people, if you don't understand how Social Security works, let me break it down to you, okay? Social Security works by the person who's collecting working. Now, in many cases, you're supposed to work 10 cycles or something like that. In some cases, people who collect Social Security do not work the full 10.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
That was my Alexa unit, which is probably going to piss people off also. But, anyways, so if you don't work those 10 units, then you get only what you paid into it. So a lot of people say that I'm a worthless piece of shit, that I need to be working, that I need to be doing this, that, or the other thing, blah, 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 blah. Well, like it or not, people, I was placed on Social Security, disability, and Social Security income. Now those are two different things, but getting back to how Social Security works. So, as myself, okay, every time I worked a job and paid into Social Security and federally regulated taxes and all that other stuff, money was put into an account for me to utilize when I retired, or should I become disabled and no longer able to work. So they calculate all of the time that I worked and all the money that I put into Social Security for that to then be paid out to me monthly. So after I pay for my medical insurance every month, and after they take out the money for my premiums for my medications and things, I am now left with $755 a month. Out of that $755, I pay $650 for the place that I'm at. The place that I'm in is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, double-wide mobile home on its own lot, not in a trailer park, with a front yard and a backyard and a carport. That being said, it is not a handout. It is not anything that's coming directly from you. You are not paying my Social Security check that I receive every month. That is coming directly off of my Social Security number that is attached to my work history. And all the jobs that I've ever worked and ever paid into, all of that money is now being trickled back to me every month. Now, if I did not pay for my medications and I did not pay for my medical insurance, I would be getting about $15.75 a month. So there's something else that y'all don't know, is that I actually do pay for my Medicare Part A, B, and C. And as part of that, I also pay $149 a year for my prescriptions. That all comes out of my Social Security check. After I've met the $144, then my prescriptions are free. You do not pay for that, I pay for that. So, that is how that works. Now, some of you are thinking, Michael, if you are only making $750 a month and your rent is $650, how do you live? That's a very good question. I live very meagerly and mildly. I don't get to take a lot of trips. I don't get to do a lot of things that I would like to do. And if it weren't for my family, I would not have my cell phone, nor would I have my car or my lights. I happen to have a very awesome mother who provides me with my cell phone and provided me with a car this year. So I now have a vehicle that I can get to and from doctor's appointments, and I now have, well, I've always had a cell phone. She's always provided me with one of those. Is it something that I need, talking about the cell phone? No, absolutely not. I could have an Obama phone. Actually, I do have an Obama phone. Here it is. Burr. Cheap plastic little phone. Gets like 500 minutes a month, 250 or 500 text messages. I keep this as a backup to when or if I am no longer able to have my smartphone. So, there's something else for you guys to shoot hate mail at. Um, and just to piss you off even further, this phone is getting upgraded to a smartphone in April because, well, they decided to do away with the old school Nokia phones and want everyone to have the newer smartphones so that people can get online and do their business transactions with DSHS or the welfare department or whatever you call it in your state or your county or what have you. So there's that. So let's break down exactly what I do pay with my $750 a month. My rent is $650 a month, as I stated. Out of that, so that's a huge chunk of money from there. Then I pay for my internet, which is $35 a month. I do not have television, so I don't have cable. I mean, I have a TV and I have a VCR and a DVD Blu-ray player. So I watch a lot of the same movies over and over on repeat. And when I don't want to watch those movies anymore, I go down to the library and I get myself a movie from the library. On the off occasion that I go over to my sister's house, I have access to Netflix. She too has no television. She just has internet, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. So, there's that. So that leaves me with about $60 after I pay my internet. Out of that $60, I then buy cat food and litter for my service animal. And that then leaves me with about $20 for the whole rest of the month. And with that $20, I buy my toiletries and whatever is left out of my toiletries is what I then have left for the whole rest of the month. So, as you can see, I'm not living high on the horse or whatever like some of you like to claim that I am or do. And you're thinking, well, how do you survive only having a few dollars a month, especially if you have a car, because you need gas and insurance and all that other stuff. Again, that's taken care of for me. I have a stipend of $40 a month for gas. So that means that I can only use my car very sparingly. Otherwise, I have to take the bus if I'm out of the money for that. So yeah, that's how I live. Is it ideal? Well, of course not. Is it for everybody? Hell no. Now, on top of all of that, I do receive about $170 in food stamps. That is another thing that people get all worked up over and don't understand. But let's break it down to its simplest forms, shall we? Everyone in the United States of America who works and has a legally paying job, by legally paying I mean isn't paid under the table and actually pays into state and federal taxes. About $1 out of your gross annual income, it's either annual or monthly. I'm going to go with monthly. So $1 out of your gross monthly income goes to funding the welfare system. So honestly, you probably have more than $1 in the couch cushions or scattered throughout your car. You don't miss that $1. So that's how the welfare system is funded. And there are tons of links and tons of information. All you have to do is a Google search and look for how welfare is paid for, and it trickles down from there. Now, On top of all of that, with the $170 that I get a month for food stamps, I also utilize the local community food bank, which is once a week on Wednesdays from 11 to 2, and you go in and you tell them how many people are in your home. They give you a box, they give you a number, and you walk a line and you pick up what food is available to you for the number of people that you have in your household. So if you have one person, then you get food enough for one person for 1 week. If you have 6 people, you get enough food for 6 people for 1 week, so on and so forth. The only requirements that they have is that you bring in a ID and that you have to fill out a piece of paper for everyone inside your home, and that it has to be signed and dated, and then that is turned in, and I don't know where it goes from there. So that's how I get the food that I have. Now, a lot of you like to take pop shots at me and say, well, I'm fat, and the reason that I have diabetes and some of the other elements that I have is because I'm fat and all I do is sit around and, I think one person said, eat cupcakes. I honestly can't tell you the last time I freaking had a cupcake, let alone a piece of cake. I think the last time I had a piece of cake was probably my birthday, which was last March. So yeah. So one piece of cake every year. Well, I'm not saying that anyways. But yeah, so a lot of you have a lot of myths and think you know better than what a team of doctors have told me. Okay, so there's been a ton of people, especially on that video, who make all these outrageous claims and say, well, if you dieted and you exercised, you'll lose your diabetes, and it's curable, and it's this, and it's that. Okay, technically, most diabetes can be cured through diet and exercise and moderation and so on and so forth, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The type of diabetes that I was fortunate enough to develop is known as latent onset diabetes. It's called LADA diabetes, I think. The doctors, and I say doctors with an S, there was a team of 12 specialists that I've dealt with, plus 2 different endocrinologists and 3 different diabetic-specific doctors, meaning that that's the only thing that they deal with, have told me, no matter what I do, even if I were to go and get a gastric bypass or other weight loss surgery, I will never, ever be diabetes free. Okay? Let that sink in. I will never ever be diabetes free. Okay. The second part of that is, 1, because I am insulin resistant, which means what little insulin my body does produce, my body rejects. Okay, so I naturally reject the insulin that my body produces. The second phase of that is that my pancreas is working at 3% of what it should be. So the pancreas is what creates the insulin and stuff like that. I have a almost non-functioning pancreas. Even with diet and exercise and moderation and this and that and the other thing, my pancreas will never produce enough insulin to cure the diabetes that I have. This is coming from a team of 12 doctors, several specialists, and several diabetic specific doctors. Now, with their collective knowledge, yes, they work for Big Pharma or whatever else, but with their collective knowledge, I am more apt to believe them than some hippie crunchy or some angry asshole who thinks that they know better. Now, I was diagnosed with diabetes in 2008. I spent 6 weeks in the hospital, and during that time period, I almost died. They couldn't figure out how to help me. I was placed in a coma. I didn't go into one. I was placed in like a light coma, so that I was half awake, half asleep, mainly sleep in the full 6 weeks or whatever. You know, I don't ever want to go through that crap again. So I listen to what my doctors have to say. They tell me not to do XYZ. I don't do XYZ. Now, one of the things that I am working with is trying to better take care of myself and manage myself through medications and so on and so forth. I am very careful what medications I take because as a diabetic, I don't want to go into kidney failure. Now, if I don't watch what I do and I don't stay on top of my blood sugars, I can slip back into diabetic ketoacidosis, which for you, those of you who don't know what DKA is, it is where your blood turns very acidic and it starts eating away at your lean body mass and your internal organs and muscles. Well, in 2007, I decided to go the entire year in DKA and did not get treated until June of 2008. So during that time period, I lost 15% of my lean body mass and did a lot of irreparable damage, even though I was really young at the time. I was 26 or 27 at the time. That was the only thing that really saved me, was the fact that I was young. I was overweight, but I was young, and I was able to take care of myself that way. So, a lot of my doctors have said, Michael, the only reason that you are as good as you are right now is because of your age. But if you were 50, 60, 70 years old, the story would be a little bit different. Well, here I am at 36 years old, going to be 37 in a few weeks. There has been additional diabetic complications that I've undergone. My eyes, thankfully, are still pretty decent. The doctor specified last time I went in for a eye exam that my eyes were doing well, and that he didn't see any diabetic neuropathy or anything like that in the back of my eyes. He did say that there was some hematomas, but when I went, I was under a lot of stress that day. I have developed neuropathy in my feet, and let me tell you, that is a bitch. Laying there at night and just feeling the nerves in your feet die off one by one. Oh, let me tell you, that's fun. So now that means that my feet are partially numb all the time. I can't feel a lot of times in my feet or my toes. So I'm constantly having to check the bottoms of my feet to make sure that there's no injuries or whatever else. I can't even do something as simple as trim my toenails, because if I trim my toenail and I cause it to bleed, there could be an infection, and an infection could lead into gangrene. Gangrene could lead into me losing my foot or my toe. Because with diabetes comes poor circulation, and people are apt to lose their feet. So I try to make sure that my feet are in very good condition at all times, and if I have to trim my toenails, I go into a doctor, or I have a friend who's a CNA do them for me. Um, yeah. So, I just realized that this has been going on for 25 minutes now and soon to be a little bit longer. But yeah, I just wanted to do an update and let all you haters know that I'm still doing well, still collecting Social Security, still living in the same place, and feeling a little bit thankful for everything going on in my life. Now, if you still believe that you are paying me to live the way that I live, well, then you need to send more money, because living on $770 a month is not very easy. So please send your paychecks in to me. I would really appreciate it. But above and beyond that, if you're still watching after all this time, thank you so much. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. If you would like to, please send me an email at hellocupcakeitsme@gmail.com. It should be right in here somewhere. And please make sure to take a look at the blog. It's hellocupcakeitsme.com. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Put them in the comment section below or shoot me an email. And I will talk to you all very soon. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and click like and subscribe. It really does help. Thank you guys, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.